Hey guys. So, wait, my knee. I don't want people to see my knee. You're not.
No one wants to see your knees.
You put it away, you slut. You whore. Anyway, hello everyone. It's me, your boy, Harley Barley, and if you didn't know, this epic, cool, popular YouTuber made an animation about a story. It was about two guys out of Wendy's, and there was some guy with a machete. That story was actually about me, so I'm here to talk about it because I thought it would be fun.
It wasn't just about you.
Yeah,
Me
I was
too.
about to introduce you. I was going to introduce you.
What the heck, man?
So,
Hello.
hello, Mr. RG,
Sorry.
aka
I ruined
Ron.
the intro. Whoops.
You did ruin the. You should apologize. Apologize
I'm very
to the viewers.
sorry for destroying the intro. I was, I don't know. Just wanted to say something. Yeah, but it's a true story. I am Ron, in theory.
Now, before we get into the main part of the video, if you're here after watching Wansee's animation, then you might remember a part in the video where I take a picture of the guy standing behind Ron. And I know a lot of people have been asking me to see the photo. Well, I don't want to edge you guys anymore, so without further ado, here it is. This is the photo that I took of Ron, making sure to get the guy in the background. I've blurred Ron's face out for privacy reasons. Unfortunately, the lighting in this is super bad because I took it on a really old iPhone 6. But if you look in the background, you can clearly see the guy, as described in the story, standing behind Ron. And if you look closely, you can see the handle of the machete behind his shoulder. Yeah, so
Wow.
if you haven't watched Wansee's video yet about this story, I suggest you do that before you come here. And yeah, that's it. We're literally just gonna talk about it. We're gonna watch the animation again. We're gonna talk about it. We're gonna answer some questions about it. And we're gonna, like, I guess not clear things up, but I remember when I first saw this animation, I was, like, actually shocked at how accurate it was.
That's pretty good.
Like, it was really good. Like, they got little to nothing, like, wrong. Like, it was really good. I really love this animation. So, thank you, Wansee, for animating this. This
Thanks.
happened, in the beginning, it says, hello, this happened to me a year ago when I was 17. I'm actually 19 now, so it was a year ago when I submitted this story. So, it was 2 years ago when this incident happened. But yeah, we're gonna watch it. Well, I guess well, we're not gonna watch it, but we're gonna,
We're gonna give you the behind the scenes look.
Yeah, get out of
Wow.
my face, ad.
It was the middle of the day, and I was at a rehearsal.
Okay, just pausing. What do you think that says?
Oh, jeez. I didn't even know those words.
I don't think it is. I think it's just scribbles.
I think those are just letters. Yeah. That was our scripts for the class.
We had to
Just a
memorize
bunch of
that.
letters, really annoying.
Yeah, but no, this is true. We're in a freshman in high school, the senior in high school, sketch comedy group. I'm not gonna tell you the name of the group because then you're gonna know where we live, and I don't want to dox us.
Dox us.
Don't dox us. But yeah, this is true. We're in a sketch comedy group, and it was lunchtime, and that's when we decided to go to Wendy's.
For a sketch
Wendy's.
comedy group.
I
It was
love
lunchtime,
Wendy's.
and my friend asked if I wanted to go with him to get
That's me.
Yeah!
something.
I would never wear a
Got
plain
his
white
car, and he
t-shirt.
started
What is
looking.
this?
No, yeah. No, yeah.
Bad video. Also, my car is way cooler than this. Okay.
Oh my god. Bro, leave the
I should-
poor guy alone. He
How
did
come
his
he didn't
best.
know? How come he didn't know? Okay, anyway.
How did he know I was wearing a blue shirt that day?
Were you?
No. I don't know.
Okay.
I forgot.
I mean, there's a chance.
Yeah.
You're a big blue shirt wearer.
I don't. Probably. I usually wear long sleeves.
Ron spotted a Wendy's nearby and asked if I wanted to eat there.
Alright, can we stop?
I said, sure.
Massive problem.
Okay, what?
It wasn't. We didn't find a Wendy's. I said, Harley, you want to go to Wendy's?
Shut up, bruh. Okay.
So there's a massive story error right there.
That is not a massive story error. We ended up going to Wendy's. It doesn't matter what we discussed before how we discussed getting to Wendy's doesn't matter. Anyway.
It's definitely forethought though.
I guess just to clear one thing up, I wrote this story. Well, it was a true story, but I wrote the story. Nothing was exaggerated. I wrote everything like word for word for what happened. I wasn't trying to exaggerate anything to make it like more interesting. I just tried to like think, okay, what factually happened? So everything you hear in the story is 100% accurate, I guess. There's nothing like exaggerated, nothing like, oh, and then he cut Ron's head.
Killed
like
someone.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
nothing, like nothing like that. I didn't exaggerate anything. I just told what happened. But I remember a lot of people saying like, "Oh, this story, it wasn't written well enough, or it wasn't scary enough. It was all over the place." I don't know. It's what happened. Okay, there was a bike outside the window. He was in there.
That's ridiculous.
Like, bruh, leave me alone, bruh. That's what happened. If you don't like it, then like, shut up. Take it up with God, I guess. That's what happened.
This is pretty. I'm gonna say like 95% accurate.
Yeah, 95% accurate.
Random teeny tiny minor complaints like the Wendy's that I wanted to go to Wendy's. Also, later on the bike is red, but it was actually a pink bike, I believe.
It was not
That's why
pink. It was red.
It was.
No, it
okay,
wasn't.
well, maybe we've got different definitions of pink.
Bruh.
But it was bright red, okay? It was light red.
I think it would... Okay, first of all, why the heck would a guy on drugs with a machete drive a pink bike?
That's why it was funny.
Oh my god. It was literally red. I swear to God it was red. He's lying. He's lying. He's
It's 2
delusional.
years ago. Maybe I'm gaslighting, but I could have sworn it was pink.
Also, there was not that many people in the restaurant.
Oh, there was like 6.
There was like 6 people. We're just gonna point out like again, not trying to like shit on Wansee or anything. This was a very, very, very good, like surprisingly like well done. I loved it. Definitely like highlight of my summer so far, even though it's been one day of summer.
Awesome.
No, yeah, loved it. Like actually, we're just like pointing out like the itty bitty things, like the tiny things that there's like no possible way he could like ever know. So he just
there's a 0% chance they would have ever known that. I'm just big picky, I guess. Whoops.
Yeah, but like all the important things he got accurately, and it was like surprisingly accurate. So thank you, Wansee. You're awesome. If you're watching this,
Thumbs
whatever.
up emoji.
He looked normal, nothing out of the ordinary, but
But the thing is, I didn't see the machete at that time because he wasn't facing the register. He was facing towards us and like just about to leave. But like, I don't know, like when I just saw him, like I just had that, that gut feeling, when like you just think that person's a little bit off, Just said that feeling.
It was like someone that's just like a little intense. Like you could tell he was like, I don't know. At the end, it's like he must have been on drugs or something, which is like kind of the conclusion we came to.
No, yeah,
it was kind of that feeling, like someone like that's like kind of
like your sixth sense. Like there was just a vibe about
under
him
the
that didn't seem
influence.
right. No, yeah. I didn't see the weapon on him at that point, by the way. So this was just like, oh, he was a little weird, I guess. But like, I didn't think anything of it. I didn't really think he was that weird at all. He was like eyeing me. He was eyeing you the whole time. He was looking at you.
Didn't appreciate the back of my head. Must have been my hairstyle.
we sat down across from each other. I looked out the window.
Pause.
I know
Shut up! I know what you're gonna say. You're gonna talk. That's not my drink. I didn't have that drink. Shut up, bruh.
I ate this meal with high C fruit punch.
Oh my god. We do not care. We do not care.
Sorry.
I guess at this point, I remember this was like when we sat down, like it was very brief. I just saw out, like we were just next to the window spot, and right next to that window. So this was our table. This was the window. This
Like the
back
hand
here
gestures.
was the exit. This was like the cash register, and this is where like more windows. You probably don't get it, but whatever. But outside
That's
the window,
a super helpful diagram. Thank you.
I'm really trying my best here. Leave me alone.
You can in editing. You can put up like a
MS
map
Paint
of the location. Yeah, MS Paint map of what it looked like.
But yeah,
That would be pretty helpful, I think.
I'll try. But outside our window, there was like a bike just parked there, and like it wasn't really like a big shock moment. Oh my god, there's a bike, because like people drive their bikes around there, and But the only thing that was weird about it, it wasn't like on a bike rack. It was just like perched against like the wall. So that's all I thought was like, I just noticed that and I just remembered that. But no, yeah, let's continue.
Noticed that there was a red bike parked right outside, but I didn't think anything of it. I reached into my bag to grab my food.
My fish fillet.
You were not. That's McDonald's only. I mean,
Nuh-uh.
Wendy's has fish fillets, but
In
did you really
February.
get a fish fillet?
I don't remember. I don't
Okay.
remember what. I
That would
actually
be pretty funny if
don't.
you did.
Ron, I froze. The man was outside the window, staring at Ron from behind. His
Epic
eyes
reaction
were wide,
moment.
bloodshot. Creeped
Yeah,
me
put that in the
out,
thumbnail.
to say the least.
I already
Ron
have the
hadn't
thumbnail.
noticed him, but then I saw something.
No, yeah. At this point in time, he was like staring like down at, like he was almost like right next to Ron, but just like slightly behind him. He was like staring down at him, like he was like,
Yeah, I didn't really see this part. I just, I only saw him later when he was like at the farther away window.
yeah, and I thought it was creepy, but then that's when I saw the little handle like right there, and then I looked at and I'm like, holy shit, that's a fucking machete. So me watching Wansee for a long time, you know, I love horror and all that. So I've been like preparing my whole life for a moment like this. So I'm just like, you'll see it later in the video. So I'm just like, yo, Ron, so don't look behind you. Don't make it obvious. There's a dude behind you and he has a big ass machete. And then like, we were like here. We were like on the same wavelength and he's like, okay.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know. In a moment, that kind of event happens in the video, but I don't know. It's just like panicking just felt like a terrible. Like in a horror, real situation, it'd be like if you like did a massive turnaround and like stare at someone. It's like obviously they know that you're aware that they're there. You know?
Yeah. No,
It's-
like you knew panicking
Reacting
would be a
is the
bad
worst
idea.
thing to do. Yeah.
No,
So I was
yeah.
just like, okay, I trust you. So I
We
figured,
ignored
you
him.
know, shock him out. So yeah, stay cool, calm, and collected. Wow.
Yeah,
Easy game.
we're awesome.
We're the dream
That scared
team.
me. On his back was a holster, and in that holster was a machete. I looked back at Ron.
Okay, real quick, I know I'm pausing a lot, but I saw some comments like saying like this isn't scary, or like, oh, so we're calling like the cops on like crackheads now, like, oh, this happens all the time, or whatever, like people with machetes, I guess. Okay, we don't live in like a big city like LA or New York where like people with machetes are just running around. Like we live in like a very rural area
Nowhere.
of the country. So like people with weapons just running around with weapons and crackheads, not common over here. So yeah, so it's not a common occurrence where we're from. So like if you're used to that, like
I'm sorry.
good for you. Good for what you think you're special? Do you want a
Just
cookie?
gonna get stabbed by machetes all the time. Nobody cares.
But no, yeah. What was I gonna say about? Well, yeah,
Ron
this
lowered
is
my voice. Ron,
skipping.
don't-
Already talked about this.
He didn't panic. Okay. Not knowing what to do other than wait for the man to leave.
And he was like tall too. He was pretty freaking tall. He was
He's
like
pretty
at least
tall
like
fellow.
6'2".
He moved around to the back of the restaurant, pressed his face up against another window. Again, he stared at us with these wide, bloodshot
For
eyes.
pause, I do like this was a moment that was actually true. We kept eating, even though you know, like,
yeah.
like this was happening. We were just like, well, I'm hungry. You know, let's just keep eating. So I think that's
No, yeah.
So that was an epic detail that remained in the story, even though that probably wasn't in the writing. So that's fun.
No, yeah. I guess like I did actually like write about this, I'm pretty sure, but like I think we just kept eating because we didn't want to like move or react, because then he'd see that and then he'd
Oh, yeah.
react.
Acting
So we were just
casual
like trying to like
involved just eating.
no, yeah. And then that's true, except the POV, it's like taken, it looks like in the animation, it's like from the left side of the restaurant. As you like saw in the picture that I just showed at the beginning of the video, it was we were on the right side of the restaurant and he was staring in through the right window. So over like Ron's like left shoulder. No,
Yeah, my left.
your right
Hold on.
shoulder. Your right shoulder. Wait. Sorry. No, yeah. This was, I don't know why he did that. I don't know. Like, people on drugs do weird ass things. But like, so like he was at the window, he moved around to the back, so he was like completely behind Ron, but I could still like see him like over here in my peripheral vision.
Yeah, it was like he was at enough of an angle that like I wasn't like fully covering up. Kind of like this shot, like
Yeah.
diagonal to me a little bit.
And I was just trying the whole time not to make eye contact with him.
So I got up and went up to an employee.
Okay, also this, the Wendy's employee, the lazy Wendy's employee, oh my god, that actually pisses me off to this day. So it was actually this white lady, and like, I just like walked up and I'm like, hey, so there's a guy with a machete outside, so like we can't really leave because he's kind of outside the door, and like if we leave, I don't want him to like run up on us with a machete. And like she just saw him staring through the window like this. Yeah, like at times he would have his hands up like this, just breathing like on the window. And like she was like, okay, I'll call the police. And then she went, and then she like never came back. So
Bro left.
I don't know. Just like
they didn't want,
she
want
just
to deal with all that.
Like she didn't think the situation was as serious as it like was, which was kind of freaking stupid.
So I took out my phone and aimed it at Ron while very subtly angling it.
Yeah, and this is the picture that I showed you in the beginning. This is the that's the same picture that I took. However, there was one comment that said, so you were smart enough to take a picture, but you asked an employee to call the police? Okay,
Listen, sometimes when you're moments that are just weird, you just don't know what to do, man. Listen.
Yeah.
I'd like to see you getting stabbed in the stomach and calling the police, okay?
Also, I didn't want to call the police because if he'd see me with my phone going doot doot doot, he was staring at me. So if I was starting to call the police and like talk on the phone, he would see that and he would react to that. Which later in the story, I did call the police and then he did react to that, so I was right. But instead of like coming inside, he just like rode away on the bike. So like, I didn't want to call the police when there was someone watching me to see if I would call the police. That's why I asked an employee to do it.
Makes sense. I think that's a perfectly reasonable thing, because it's, I don't know, stressful situations you think, like, should I do this, should I not? Walking up to an employee is like a standard thing. Like if someone was like, you forgot my chicken nuggets, or whatever, you know? I feel like if I was a creep trying to find a good way to murder someone, I wouldn't assume talking to a restaurant employee is like them trying to... this doesn't make any sense what I'm going on. The tangent I'm going on. But you know what I mean. I think it's an appropriate reaction.
Yeah, because I didn't want him to see me calling the police and he's going to be like, hey, he's trying to snitch on me. And then run up and like cut my arm off, you know?
He seemed to understand what I was implying.
I didn't even get to show the police the picture because they didn't find him.
And it show up.
Yeah.
After taking the pictures, I noticed
we talked a little bit about it. You were like, I'm going to take a picture of the guy, but I'm going to pretend like I'm taking a picture of you. You know? So like, you kind of gave me the down low on the plan. But the video kind of made it seem like I'm just like this really cool, chill guy. Which really I appreciate.
Which you are.
But thank you. But yeah, there was a little more communication than me just like being on your wavelength 24/7.
No, yeah.
But yeah.
I explained it. I was like, but then I was just like, smile. And then you started like,
Jeez.
But yeah. Also, the photo kind of sucks a little bit. Like, because it was when I had that really shitty old
phone.
like iPhone 6. So the glare is super bad, so you can barely see his face. So it didn't really, but it's enough. You can see the machete handle, the guy.
There's something going on. Yeah.
Yeah. Just enough for the police to get a general, thing.
They started to talk amongst themselves about what should they do. Well, I thought about it.
Okay. Yeah. The people in the restaurant that I talked to about this were actually like 3 old ladies. So like they were just like waiting for their like chicken nuggets. I'm like, hey, so like I don't want to like disturb anyone, but there's a guy over there and he's kind of like, and he has a machete outside and he's kind of like staring at us. And then they looked over and they're like, oh my God, Lord have mercy. What should we do?
True. Yeah, but it was like, we were kind of like, do we want to like, should we say something to like other people? Because I kind of felt like no one else was even acknowledging the situation.
No one else saw him because he was like, it was like really far in the back of the restaurant and everyone else was at the front getting their food. Also, there was like not many people in there.
I don't know. I guess you're right. They were pretty old folks, so maybe they're not looking out windows for people.
No, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. But we went up and or no, you went up. I stayed sitting. I just didn't want to move.
Yeah, and like everyone was like kind of thinking about,
hungry.
oh, should we leave? But then like a lot of the like old ladies were like, well, I don't want to go out there with him out there. So like,
Yeah.
we were basically like, I guess he explains it here that we were basically trapped because if one of us tried to like leave,
Not trying to leave,
then
but
he'd
with the man
murder
outside,
us.
I did not want to
Yeah, you
take
could
that
act
risk,
on that.
knowing who knows what he would do.
I actually have another comment about the old people. I don't know if you remember this. Maybe this was just because I did. It's kind of hard to remember, but I'm pretty sure I went up and talked to people like, "Hey, there's a weird guy," because I remember this old guy. Maybe cut this out. I guess I'm not sure, but like, we told him like, "Hey, there's that guy over there, and he's got like a machete," and he was like. He said something like really racist. I can't remember exactly what it was.
I remember you said that. It was like, is he black?
No,
Or
he
something.
was like, "Oh, this is a quote by an old man. No one clip this." But he was like, "Oh, those people always doing so." I can't remember, but I was like, "Jeez, man. Okay, you didn't have to make it about that."
Yeah,
it's just one guy with a machete.
Don't cut this out of context, okay? This is someone else's words. We're talking about something
his words,
this
not Ron's.
old
not
white
Ron.
guy said. Ron is a chill
it was
guy.
like- that was just weird, and I think that's just a funny part of the story. That like, imagine like you're being stabbed, and then you're just like, "Oh, I can't believe all those people. Like, what's wrong with you, old man? Get a hold of yourself." So anyway, that's an interesting part of the story that didn't make it into the final cut, I guess.
No, I didn't
It's
add
not really
that
scary.
part.
It's just weird. It's like, what's that guy's problem?
No,
But anyway,
yeah.
continue.
The man could also easily come inside and do God knows what.
That's what I was worried about. That's what I was like worried about the whole time. I'm like, so please just stay there because he could have easily just walked back into the restaurant and like done some shit. So I'm just like, that's what I was like, I guess that was the scary part. That's what I was really worried about, that he would like, I guess just come in and start swinging because like it was 2 guys, some random employee, and 3 old ladies.
Yeah.
So like, what were we gonna do?
Yeah, not a lot of defense against the machete. But I think we talked. We were like, because there's the 2 entrances. And we were like, if he comes in through one of the entrances, we'll just book it out the other entrance. I think we had some kind of plan like that.
We had something like that.
Not an excellent plan, because then everyone else is getting macheted. But you know what? It would
split moment
have been
thinking.
good for us.
And keep in mind, this is the whole time I thought the employee was calling the police. So I thought we were just like waiting for the cops at that point, but then they never showed because we realized that they would have been there by now if the person actually called the police. So I just decided to do it myself. And then they arrived in like 5 seconds.
I took out my phone again and I dialed 911.
Yeah, so here is when I just got fed up and, I'm like, hey, screw it. I'll just call 911. I don't care if he sees or not. Because, like, I guess, like, I was trying to be careful at first, but then I'm like, well, if the employees at the restaurant aren't gonna call the police, then someone's gotta, and I guess that's gotta be me. But
Yeah, it was
whatever.
kind of talks between us for a little bit. Like, should we call or do we just need to call the police? Because no one's calling the police. And you're like, I'm gonna call the police.
No, yeah, I think
then
like one of the old
you
ladies
called
was
the
like,
police.
just wait for the employee to call the police. So I did, but then he never called the police, and then I was like, and then everyone's like, should we call the police? Maybe we should call the police. Should we? I don't know if we should call the police. And then I was
serious
like,
bystander
yeah.
effect.
And then
right
I was
there.
just, and
Someone
then I
else
was
will call
just
the
like,
police.
no, yeah, it's serious bystander effect. And then I was just like, I'm gonna call the police. And then notice how he's gonna say it. As soon as I like called the police, he started walking around to our window.
Yeah, it was pretty.
As
It was
soon as
like basically the same time.
Yeah,
It's kinda
and we
wild.
were like right next to the door, so like he could just like we were like right next to the door that he left through. So like he started as soon as I called the police, he was like walking around to the door that he just left through. So I was like, oh shit, he's coming in. He's coming in.
I thought that he was going to come inside. Instead, luckily, he got on that bike that was parked right outside our window, and he rode away.
You know what? He
I
rode off
watched as-
really fast.
No,
Like,
yeah,
that
he
guy
did.
was fast on the bike.
No,
He
like
really-
surprisingly
he
fast.
tore out
went,
of there.
He
Yeah.
went, yeah, because he knew I was calling the police. That's why. Good
Yeah,
thing.
yeah, guess
I'm
makes
glad
sense.
that was his reaction and not. You better not
Kill
be
him
calling
before
the
the call goes through.
No, yeah, kill him
Yeah.
before the call goes through. And then before I give him the description, and then he was riding around, and then he rode around the restaurant, drove that way, and then he went behind a building, and then we
like-
never saw him again. Nothing but a few crack particles left behind.
And sweat and fear, I guess,
Yeah.
etc.
He rode behind another building.
Not sure why
and breathed
etc.
a
is the
sigh
word of the day,
relief.
but I guess it is.
Ron got the restaurant manager.
Also, little thing here, the police never actually came into the restaurant. I just what did it say?
While I described what the man looked like to the police.
Yeah, I described what the man looked like to the police over the phone.
On the phone.
Yeah, they said they would come. I think they came around the restaurant. We saw police cars like driving around outside, which is again later in here. They just kept me on the line over the phone because I told them that like the threat was gone, so there was really no reason to come to the restaurant if he's not there to remove him.
They told me that they would look for him.
It was
but
interesting because it was like there was 2 police phone calls. It was like you called and he ran off. I guess biked off. And then you like told the police like he was here, but he ran off. You had a machete, he looked like this. He was riding a red bike / pink bike. And they were like, well, look around for him. But just stay put, don't go anywhere. So it's like the phone gets hung up, and then we're like time passes. We're like, should we leave? I'm pretty sure you're not supposed to leave until you speak with the police again after calling the police,
Mm-hmm.
So we were like waiting for them to show up, I guess. And then you got a call on your phone from 911. Or like, there was something along those lines. Like the police called us back.
Yeah, that's what she said. Over the 911 operator said, "We'll call you back if we find him and when we think it's safe for you guys to leave." So then she called me back and she said, "We didn't find anyone who matched the description, but you guys are safe to go."
Okay.
Which is kind of weird. Like, sorry, we didn't find the guy, but we're sure it's safe.
You guys are probably fine. Yeah,
But
wow,
no,
that's
like-
very helpful.
Yeah,
No,
it's like
I guess I couldn't remember. I just remember that like we were like the police are calling us. Like what's going on? I just thought that was. I remember thinking that was weird.
They probably wouldn't be able to charge him with anything since he technically hadn't really committed any crimes.
no, yeah, this right here, he technically didn't commit any crimes because I guess it's not illegal to like be carrying a weapon. But I remember like people in the comments were like asking, so there's like nothing against like people carrying machetes now? I guess not. But I feel like they could have charged him with something. Like, what is it? Like there was like a threat at the very, like there was like malicious intent at the very least.
Something along those lines.
Threatening with a deadly weapon. Because, I don't know, if I saw somebody, like, say, with a gun in their holster, like a gun, I wouldn't be threatened. But if I saw someone with a gun and they were looking at me like...
Angry eyebrows and all.
Yeah.
I'd be concerned.
Yeah, I would be like, I'm feeling a little unsafe. But no, yeah, he didn't, like... Well, he did bring the weapon into the building in the beginning. We just didn't see it. And, like... I guess it's because he didn't use it. So, whatever.
Yeah.
There's like nothing they could...
What? People in the comments are like, so it's not illegal to carry around a machete? And it's like, I don't know. It's not illegal to carry around a knife or a gun. But you're allowed to have a gun. I don't know. It's just like, why? I don't get how that's like the most unbelievable part of the story.
Yeah,
like
why
that it's
were...
okay to have a machete? I don't know.
Yeah, why were half of the comments saying, oh, so you're calling the police on a guy with a machete? And then the other half was like, oh my god, he didn't get arrested for having a machete? Like,
I don't think
one or the other.
Laws. Yeah.
No, yeah, but like, a lot of the stories on this channel are like people with breaking into houses, people with weapons, I guess stuff like that. And like, I guess like a lot of these stories are like, I guess kind of crazy compared to ours. So like a lot of these were like, some guy broke into my house and he killed my little sister. Something like that.
Yeah, there was no
So,
death
like,
in this one.
No, yeah. I know all these say true in the title, but like a lot of them, I'm willing to bet that most of them aren't true or at the very least exaggerated. There are some stories I listen to on this channel where I'm like, oh yeah, that sounds like it happened. Like there have been some with like video evidence of like some guy who had a bullet fly past his ear and they took pictures of the bullet holes, kind of like how I took a picture of the guy. But like, then there's some where like, I remember there was one specific story where there was like, it turns out 1,000 people died in the home. And I'm like, very, very round number. Also, they didn't tear down the house. When
I just kept it up.
Oh my god. I think a lot of people, when they hear a mild story like this, they're like, oh, it's not scary. They assume, what am I saying? I don't know what I'm trying to say. Our story isn't like as crazy as some of the other stories on the channel, which is why I feel like a lot of people in the comments were like, oh, it's not scary enough for me.
It's very grounded in reality. And
Yeah.
just because a scary story doesn't have anyone getting murdered doesn't mean it's not like unsettling. You know, it's an unsettling story. It's creepy.
Yeah.
It's like, what would you do if you're in that situation?
Yeah.
I think it doesn't need to be bloody murder. Everyone I know died and combusted into flames.
No, yeah.
I don't know. I think it's a fun story, and it's kind of scary.
It's a little spooky.
It's been 2 years, so I guess I'm not really too worried about it anymore. But
no,
it was
yeah,
definitely
I don't think
concerning
he's
at the time.
No, yeah, I don't think he's coming to get us. Like, I'd eat at that Wendy's again. I feel like
I would.
to, like,
I have.
reminisce.
As a matter of fact, I have. Yeah, I still like Wendy's. Free 6-piece chicken nuggets on Wednesdays. It's a pretty good deal.
Yeah. I do see how like this part of town, I'm pretty sure what I heard, that part of town that we were in was the part of town that usually like it was right next to a car wash, I think. And that car wash hires like specifically recently convicted criminals who were let out. So very sketch part of town, but like we didn't know it at the time until like later. I was driving with my mom and they're like, oh, that's that car wash that hires like criminals and shit. And I'm like, right next to the Wendy's where I almost died because this guy with the machete. So yeah, that's not surprising that there's crazy people around that part of town, but like once again, rural area doesn't happen often. We didn't know. So it was very much a one-off thing for the part of the country where we live in.
All they could do was ban him from the location.
Which
the police
did.
told us to stay put until they called.
I guess they did, but they can't really do that if they don't have a face and a name. He's probably been back there multiple times. Let's be real.
Anyone with a red bike shows up with a machete, they're like, hey, I don't know if you're him, but you're not allowed to be here.
Drove back to theater practice. I had to call our director and explain why we were 30 minutes.
Okay,
the theater director was a man.
We have to explain this one thing. Yeah, our theater director is actually very much a dude, but I think that was pretty funny when I saw this.
Yeah, that was kind of a funny twist.
I think we could say not his full name, but like his name's Scott. Like, there's a pretty sure there's plenty of theater directors' names. Yeah, we're doxed. Where's doxed? Our theater director's name's Scott. Don't worry. Like, as we were in the restaurant, it wasn't actually. I misspoke in the thing. It said 30 minutes late. We were like 2 hours late, I think. One or two.
It was a long time. Must have been 1 hour.
A long time.
I think.
1 hour. Like 30 minutes to 1 hour.
We finished our food long before, like, we were told to leave. So we were just like sitting there for a while. It's like, what do we do? We texted like the group chat of the people in the same theater class as us. We were telling them about it. They're like, "What do you guys talk about?" Can't remember exactly what they said.
No, yeah, I remember.
There
I
was
think
a conversation there.
Yeah, no, yeah, we were talking. They're like, "What? Are you guys okay?" And we're like, "Nah, like we're fine. There's just a guy with a machete outside who won't let us leave." And then like I remember asking Scott. I'm like saying like, "Hey, so." Like, we're not gonna be docked for this, right? And he's like, no, like, he was so nice about it. He was like, as soon as we came back in, he's like, are you guys okay? So, like she looks angry in the video. Like,
people
we were, like,
pretty
late.
Concerned about us.
No, yeah, people were, like, concerned about us. But then, like, we started, like...
staying in touch with them.
No, yeah. But, like, it was pretty funny as the day went on.
And it's late.
Yeah, a lot of people were like, we
back.
should do something about that. In the class, we should like make a skit out of that or something.
No, yeah, people started making skits about the machete guy.
Yeah.
No, yeah,
it was an improv class. Yeah, that's a detail in the video. Yeah, it was an improv class. So
yeah,
like we do like an improv game.
Mm-hmm.
And then people would be like, "Oh my God, it's machete guy." So it was kind of an in joke for a little while.
No, yeah.
Ron and I had a good laugh about it with our friends about the experience, but I'm 18 now, and the man has still never been caught.
I'm 19 now, and the man has still never been caught.
1 year later, update. Nothing changed.
Ron and I still like to talk about this story from time to time.
Like we're doing right now.
Yeah. It's a fun story.
I think that he was definitely...
You know, it's good to have crazy things happen in your life, because, like, if only boring things happen, I don't know. It's like this happened, and if I got murdered, I'd be upset, of course. But, you know, I'm alive, so it's a funny story. And I think that's important.
I was like, what? If I got murdered, I'd be upset, of course. But
Yeah.
I'm alive.
But I did get murdered, so therefore it's a funny story, and I
Oh
think
my
that's okay. It's good to have a couple crazy things happen in your life. Just to
No,
look
yeah.
back on it and be like, that was wild.
No, yeah, definitely.
I think this was
That he was
scary then,
definitely
fun
some-
now.
Yeah.
that he was definitely some sort of mentally ill, and I'm pretty sure that he was on some sort of drugs.
No, yeah, he was definitely on some sort of fent. I saw that in his eyes, and I'm like,
Definitely.
oh yeah, this guy's high on some good kush. I was like tempted to go out and ask him.
Since
Wow.
his eyes
I mean, like, yeah, you don't just stand outside of restaurant windows looking at people unless something's wrong. Yeah.
No, yeah, unless there's
Definitely under the
something,
influence.
except there's something wrong in the brain area.
were so bloodshot. I try to think of logical reasons for why he could possibly have a machete. Like, maybe he was a gardener or something, but
I was trying to be, see, look,
Give
this
him the
should
benefit
prove,
of the doubt.
give him the benefit of the doubt, like why he was like, is he like a weapons collector? Because I know like some people have like machetes, but like, I know they don't, like I saw one comment saying like, I have a machete, but I don't carry it around outside because that's obviously threatening to people.
Yeah, that's
But,
why
like-
it's weird that this guy was doing it. That's
No, yeah.
Yeah.
But I was like, trying to think like, did he just like, because like maybe he was like one of the people who just like cuts the bushes and that's what he used to cut the bushes. But I feel like people use weed whackers now.
Yeah, I don't know how common a machete is as a tool anymore. I think it's only for like in movies when someone's cutting vines in a jungle. You know, you don't see a machete very often.
No, yeah.
that really still wouldn't explain his weird behavior. I'm sure he didn't have any good.
Okay, so why is there a tree growing out of the middle of the street?
Listen, the
I'm
scene
sorry,
needed a little bit
I'm
more
sorry.
dream, okay.
I'm sorry. I wanted to be funny. I'm sorry. Artist, this was good art. We got one of like the really good artists for this story,
That's
which I'm
very good.
really happy about.
And I'm
Look good,
glad-
sounded
And-
good,
and
it
one
was
of the-
good video.
We
right
got
there.
like definitely like one of the best artists, if not the best artist, and definitely the best voice actor.
because things could have ended up much, much worse.
I had to add the classic. Every Wansee watcher knows you have to add the things could have
What
ended
if?
up much worse. I couldn't help but think, what would have happened if? You always have to add that at the end, so I did. And that's awesome. So that's what happened in this story. If you liked it, I guess subscribe to my channel. I do gaming on here. Subscribe to the Entire Circus, a channel that we have together where we also do gaming with some more of our friends.
Yeah, we do that.
Excuse
Wow.
me.
Can you cut that out, bro?
No, yeah, stick around if you like this content. Yeah, and I just surpassed 100 subscribers. My subscriber count went from like 97 to like 123 in like 24 hours. So thank you for that. That was
Pretty
awesome.
cool.
Really grateful for that. So yeah, thank you. And
If you have questions, extra questions, you
yeah,
can ask them in the comments. They'll
Yeah.
probably get answered.
I will answer them in the comments. So definitely thank you. Bye.
Bye bye.
I almost hung up the call instead of just ended the recording.